Jesus H. Crying out loud. Fucking hell, dude.
That's Wayne.
Yeah.
Man.
That's me.
Everything's age, man.
Yeah, that's right. All right, here we go.
It's time for Red Salad Review with your hosts, Wayne Moon, Greg Narlow, and Lou Max.
Hello, welcome to Rat Salad Review. Welcome, Mr. Ken Pike. How are you?
I'm doing just honky-dory great.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yes. Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. How could I not invite you? Out of all the people that I know, I have to invite you on this show because why?
Because being a Queensryche fanatic and singing like Jeff Tate, I don't know.
But tonight we're talking about the first 6 Queensryche albums and Promised Land. I don't have that on vinyl. Did they release that on vinyl? I wish I would have. Promised Land. I would imagine they did by now, right?
No, I don't think they have on that one. I mean, I don't know.
I don't need it, but just curious.
I mean, like you said, it sold well, but it hasn't held up. But what's crazy is that Operation Mindcrime 2 is released on vinyl for Record Store Day, and that thing is nowhere near as sold well as Promised Land or even as acclaimed. So it's really strange thing to have released. Oh.
Don't know. But yeah, welcome to the show. Welcome, Stan. Pew pew.
How you guys doing?
Hey, buddy.
Oh, look, it's Stan.
Okay,
Good evening,
did you ever meet Stan? Yeah, you were on the show with Stan, right?
Yeah, last time you had me on.
Yeah, we did the interview.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been so long, that we even did the show, right? Like, we start to forget things.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Poor Stan was trying to keep us on track and asking questions, and we kept going off and
that's right.
All kinds of tangents.
Yeah, Stan has to ruin the show by trying to keep things in track. What's wrong with you, Stan?
Sorry.
He tried. He really tried.
Just try to conduct an interview the way an interview should be done, right?
Yeah.
Who were you interviewing?
Me.
Oh. Well, no wonder you went off track. You guys are all friends. I mean,
oh, I forgot to hold on a second. Hold on a minute here. There's some people in the chat. Catman is here. Hello, Catman.
Catman, what's up?
And Mr. Al Horder. I was on his show last night, the Black Spinner Circle podcast.
So I was on that show a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I told him we were doing this show, and he seemed like he wanted to come on. So I'm sending you the link right now, Al. If you want to come on, come on. If not, then don't.
Al, come on. Jesus. I've been on your show.
All right.
Come on.
Hold on. Before we continue,
yeah,
I got a new record. Thanks to Wayne, he gifted me this Muse.
It was a year in the making.
Origin of Symmetry. I think this is their second album. Amazing prog rock. Recommend people check that out if they never heard Muse before. Awesome band. Thanks, Wayne. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Found that in my travels. I know you're a Muse fan, so.
Well, this is the latest. I literally got this yesterday. Beatles Anthology 4. I like it a lot because I'm a huge Beatles fan, but the new song, the so-called new song, Then and Now.
Yeah.
It wouldn't exist without AI. I hate to say it because I don't remember what was damaged. Oh, it was the George Harrison part. He never finished it because it was supposed to be originally done for Anthology 3, that song, and they never finished it. So when they did this, they finished it with the help of AI. It's still the Beatles performing, but there's some enhancements in it. So. That's the only track on there.
It's not bad. It's a decent song. I like it.
Yeah, it is good, but
it's a little sad.
I've got a little mixed feelings about the use of that, but it is a cool song. But I don't think anyone in 30 years is going to be that's going to replace any of the other classics on here.
No,
But
of
it's
course not.
yeah, and there's a new remix of Real Love and Freezer Bird, which were the other ones that they
I was
did.
gonna say, yeah, they remixed those songs, and they do sound a little bit better. I listened
Yeah.
to it a couple days ago. And I know Ken, you're a big Beatles fan too.
Oh yeah, well, the Beatles is why I got into music back when I was what 13 or 12 or whatever it was. Yeah,
Well, Ken, so did about 99% of our original heroes,
Yeah.
yeah,
including the late Ozzy Osbourne. And,
yep. They
I don't
they
know.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if Tony Iommi was a fan, but I don't know how it's the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix, even if you don't like their music, you were influenced by whether you know it or not, because everything that followed, so.
Hmm.
And what's interesting about both of those artists is that both of them use the studio like in the Beatles case, fourth member, and Jimi Hendrix like another instrument. They're very, very interesting guys. That whole time period of that. 67, especially. Think about 67. Are You Experienced? Sergeant Pepper's, Velvet Underground's first album. I'm missing a few, but Pink Floyd, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, their debut. Um, I know I'm missing a lot, but there was a lot of killer albums that came out that year,
Well,
67.
didn't didn't the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds come out too?
I think that came out in 60, yeah, actually 67 or maybe late 66. Um,
Yeah, I think
you
it.
know what? It may as well be a Summer of Love album too, truthfully,
Yeah,
because yeah, it's hard to believe that that album was considered a failure. Who the hell would consider that a failure? I
no,
guess because it cost so much money, for that time period. So,
it was really an experimental album. I mean, they were doing a lot of stuff on, Sergeant Pepper. Yeah, they did a lot of stuff that nobody had done before in the studio. But Pet Sounds, it was pretty different for the time period.
actually, and it still sounds pretty damn good, truthfully.
I
Um,
always liked the Beach Boys.
I never
I
got
do
it.
too. By the way, what's interesting is if you get this, Ken, there's I Am the Walrus. They have the orchestra overdub, is what they call it. And what's really cool is you hear John Lennon's vocal bleed in, the overdub.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So you hear him very faintly singing his part. All you need is love. It's very cool, because it's so faint, but you really hear it. So if you grab that, you'll hear that. It's really cool. I'm
Yeah,
sure it's on YouTube, but it's really cool.
I'm gonna have to get it.
Yeah.
Add to all my other Beatle albums.
All right. The
The
Fruit Cup
way
has joined us. He says, "Ciao, guys. Ciao, Mr. Fruit Cup or Mrs. Fruit Cup or whatever you are. I don't know. But thanks for joining us." All right, you ready? We'll,
all
we'll
right,
wait
Wayne,
for the other guys. They'll just join us whenever they're ready. But let's start with the Queensryche EP. I used to have this on cassette originally, so I always heard the cassette and nonstop. I listened to that all the time. God, Queen of the Reich, that's their the first single that they released, right? I believe, right? It's the only single they released off this album. I remember the video. It was like what they were like in the dungeon or whatever they were, like in some cave or something, and
They were fighting the
Queen of the Reich.
What? Where's part two? They said there would be a part
Yeah,
two. I've been waiting for
yeah.
40 something years here. What's going on with it?
Maybe they'll finally get to it now. They got Todd Latore on doing the vocals. Greetings, listening while I got some work done. That is I can't even pronounce your name. It's so long, but you're here. Thanks for coming and watching the show. And the Fruit Cup says these albums are important. Please, guys, do service. We'll try our best. But I love the EP. It's great. It's different from even from the Warning. I think that it's just the way it's mixed and everything, the way the band sounds. It's just different from the rest of the albums that they ever done. But it's really good. What about you, Ken? What do you think about it? Since Queensryche's your band.
Well, that was the when they first came out with that. A friend of mine, because I was into Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and a friend of mine had the cassette. And he's like, "Oh, you really like this band if you like these other bands. So he gave me the cassette to listen to, and as soon as I went home and I put it on, I was like, "Damn, Queensryche, these guys are awesome!" It totally sounded different. They didn't sound like anyone else. And then, of course, when I heard Tate's voice, I was just like, "Oh." And then the guy, the friend of mine, he ended up moving away, so I kind of hung on to the cassette, and I played that thing to death. I wore the CD or the tape out, listening to it, but that was my introduction to Queensryche, and then after that was it.
So you got to be right there at the beginning of Queensryche.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I didn't come in until Empire. I probably saw like Jet City Woman or Another Rainy Night or whatever.
Mm.
Became a fan then. So I had to go back and listen to all the other stuff, but that's cool to be. That's it when you're like a fan of a band that just starts out. It's it's new, it's cool, it's
Yeah, yeah.
it's exciting stuff.
I mean, you got Queen of the Right, but um, the Lady Wore Black.
Yeah,
That one really for me was like, wow, this is so cool, so different, and it's like this is what I want to do.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's off of my direction.
Very cool. All right, what about you, Manny?
I remember reading about. I used to get Hit Parade magazine. I was about. I didn't. I believe the album was released independently. I didn't know that at the time, though. Because by the time Hit Parade started covering them, they were really championing them. They were on EMI. I guess they reissued the album, on EMI. I couldn't find it, because back then I would do blind buys. I would just buy it without hearing it if it sounded interesting. Now looking back, Hit Parader wasn't exactly the gold standard for music journalism, but I was a kid, so
Yeah,
um, so I didn't hear that till after the warning. Actually, I didn't get this till after Rage with Orders. So even though it was around, I didn't find it for a long time. There's no internet back then. I could just find it. When I finally bought it, I loved it, but it's the only Queensryche release that I can point out what couple of the influences. One being Judas Priest that you mentioned.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, and a few other things. None of it is a ripoff. None of it you can go, oh my God, that sounds like a Judas. This is not Crocus.
Yeah, they had their own
Yeah.
sound. They had their
Yeah,
own
they
sound.
definitely had their own sound. But the standout to me, I guess maybe because the production wasn't Chris DeGarmo, even though I guess he was the main songwriter already. I didn't know that at the time either. But Jeff Tate's voice, when you listen to it, even this early stage, um, is incredible. The range that guy had. Because keep in mind, heavy metal singers that was considered heavy metal either were trying to be operatic, like Ronnie James Dio, Bruce Dickinson. You're trying to be a Brian Johnson, or you were like a whiny bastard like Vince Neil. So this guy was very. People who don't even like this kind of music could tell he could sing. That's what stood out to me was his voice. I think the songs are great, but it's amazing when you compare this to the next album how much growth there was in that short amount of time, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of growth. And Stan, here's somebody that knows a lot about growth. Stan.
Yeah, what's going on? Uh, the first time I heard Queensryche, it must have been like over 25 years ago when I don't know how I got the CD, but I got the Promised Land album,
Mm.
and
Oh, I used that really late.
yeah, and I did not like it, so I never explored the band any further.
Wow.
It wasn't until like a couple of years later I heard like one of the songs from Operation Mindcrime on the radio,
Mm.
and I was like, hey, the shit ain't so bad. So, but that was like the only album I liked at the time. And now, like, because we're gonna talk about this, I kind of like started rediscovering, older albums now. At least these first six. So, it's pretty. Like Manny was saying, it's pretty amazing. Like, how wide that range of Jeff Tate is, and it's just. I mean, he was practically like a kid. Just
Mm-hmm.
belting all those like high notes and listening to these like first six albums, it's really also interesting to hear like not just the growth as a band and as writers, but also as like Jeff's voice. He kind of like matured and
Yeah.
became like even a much better singer. I think he, I mean, in my opinion, he kind of like peaked at that Mindcrime Empire era.
Mhm.
I mean, I mean, he sounded really fantastic at that point. But yeah, it's Queen of the Reich. Yeah, these are good tunes. I mean, like the obvious influences, like the Maiden stuff, and they got the nice harmonies and everything. Um, it's really no wonder people like Queensryche from the '80s so much because of like Chris DeGarmo. Obviously, this dude like wrote all the best stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, and but it's a shame he's not in the band anymore. But it is what it is. I mean, probably enjoys flying airplanes a lot more than playing guitar. At least it pays the bills better, right?
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Very cool. And Alchemical Tech Revolution. That's now I can read the name because I'm not trying to like go back and forth. But Wayne McCroy, thank you very much for joining us. He said he first discovered them with Operation Mindcrime, and he also says Tate is classically trained opera singer.
Yeah, he did take
So many, a lot of the metal singers. I mean, even Axl Rose was supposedly like a classical trained
Yeah,
opera type singer too.
I know
So
That's what I heard, but I call bullshit on that.
yeah,
But
I don't know.
he
I don't on that, honestly. I believe it. I mean, what really screwed him up, and he'll come out and admit it now, which is amazing because he never admitted fault before. So I suppose you definitely mellow with age, but he didn't take care of his voice properly. And that was a big reason they missed a lot of them shows in the past.
I
all I
heard
know is when
that.
he joined AC/DC, he suddenly became totally a professional. No more late shows, temper tantrums. That was probably the best thing he ever did. And I guess because his hero is Bond, he didn't want to let Angus and the down. So that's
I didn't enjoy it. Total missed opportunity to bring over Angry Anderson from Rose Tattoo, in my opinion. But
I don't think he's. I don't know. He doesn't have the range of Bon or Brian. Angry.
dude,
Dude, I've
imagine
got those
Angry
albums. They're
Anderson doing the
fine, but
Jack compared to how Axl Rose did it. Okay, enough said.
no, I like Rose Tattoo, but they don't yank my crank as much. Anyway,
All right.
Yeah, but at least they never murdered Bob Dylan like Axl Rose did.
The Fruit Cup says he also bought the EP blind like you did, Manny, in the deleted bins mostly. And yeah, cool. All right, Greg, we're talking about the EP
Yes.
and how you got into Queensryche.
So I got into them actually through this compilation. Son of a bitch! I have to turn off the.
I love the
Knew that was going to
background.
happen.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
If you hold it sideways though, sometimes.
oh, what's the name of the compilation, Greg?
Well, hang on 1 second here while I'm trying to do this because
There's always some technical difficulties.
You know what's interesting about that EP? That was
So-
an indie release,
Hold
right,
it-
guys?
Hold it sideways. There you go.
Yeah, it's before EMI.
So
Yeah.
on,
And it says it was produced by the band for a bunch of kids. Because what were they, like 19, 18? Sounds pretty fucking good for a bunch of kids with,
Yeah, like
music.
really.
well, their
really,
management team helped too. That actually founded that label, 206 Records. Matter of fact, they didn't get a whole lot of interest until they ran into those guys, which is really surprising because you would think the music speaks for itself. But so I first heard of them. God damn. Will this work now? There we go. I blurred it. So I had
Close
this
enough.
on cassette originally, and the cassette just called it capital EMI's Spring 84 metal sampler. The vinyl version of it, they call it Heart Attack 84.
Mm.
and it's actually from the Warning era, and it's got. Why the hell won't it? There it goes. Finally, haha.
Hey.
Enforce warning and take hold of the flame on it, which just blew me away. The whole reason I stole this cassette from my dad in the first place is because Iron Maiden, and yeah, Helix and Wasp are on it too, which I love all four of them albums by the bands, but it just blew me away. And I was like, I got to hear more of these guys. And then talking to my neighbor, who was a little bit older than me, because I was about 10 at the time, he was actually originally from Seattle. And he was like, you just discovered the Reich. I love these guys. You got to get Rage for Order and blah, blah, blah. So then I went out and picked up the EP and Rage for Order used. I got Mindcrime a little bit later, which I still like and think it's a great concept album, but I don't know, man. I love Rage for Order and The Warning especially, but Rage for Order is an amazing record.
What's your opinion of the EP, Greg?
Oh, the EP's awesome. Little unpolished, but I like that raw edge to it. And as great as Warning is, they kind of started branching out there. So I think this is their heaviest, most straightforward release. And I mean, dude, Queen of the Reich, the way it comes screaming out at you is just, that's heavy metal, And so all the old magazines and stuff I would get would refer to this as US power metal. So this was always kind of what I thought of as power metal at first too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I got a
you know what,
Japanese
Greg?
copy of this, and something kind of cool here. It didn't come with the record, but the guy I bought it from, this was a counter thing they gave away to the record companies as promotion when they first released it in Japan, and you can order copies of the album with it. Couldn't tell you what the hell it says anymore because I don't speak Japanese, but
Actually, there's an app that you can download on your phone, and it'll translate all that.
Hey, Greg, you brought up a great point about the labeling. There was no such thing as power metal, but magazines would refer to them as power metal, not progressive metal. That would be I don't even think that term existed yet, but you are right.
It did by 83 because I have this other comp that specifically is called US power metal, actually.
No, I mean, okay. I'm talking about the term progressive metal.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So, but anyway, great point on that label.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'd forgotten.
And even though this is their most straightforward, I'm going to make a lot of Iron Maiden comparisons tonight, and I kind of feel like Wright gets the shaft in a lot of ways because people are like, they copied me, which they didn't. They started kind of around the same time, had similar influences. It's just kind of a different take on that type of sound, but especially with the Lady Wore Black on this, the twists and turns that DeGarmo and Wilton would do together were already there. They just weren't as refined yet. And I just love hearing it raw like that off the cuff. Night Rider.
I hear more Judas Priest than Iron Maiden and a lot of that.
Really?
Again, I don't think I do. I don't think they sound like Judas Priest. And it might be more to do with Jeff Tate's singing style. I don't think he sounds like Rob Halford one iota. But they can both hit really high. Maybe that's what they didn't with. Maybe.
So my big thing with that is, Rockenfeld's a great drummer. I mean, he got better as time goes on too.
Oh yeah, he's a phenomenal drummer.
His precision on this, and then especially what makes me think of Maiden, and I don't want to get into who's the better duo, but Adrian Smith and Dave Murray have a certain locked in where they're almost can touch each other's auras and play off each other so well. They're so well connected. They're not just both playing leads, they're flowing together. And that's how DeGarmo and Wilton are to me too.
Yeah. Well, I can see what you mean because as much as I love the Priest, Downing and Tipton are not similar at all. And they don't, they're
not in step like that. No.
And they're not interested in being in step like that either. So yeah.
No, and that's why the 70s prog bands that these guys were into, as well as like Steve Harris. Shit like Nectar was such a big influence on something like this, and makes the difference there too. Hell, even Budgie, really. Don't know if they were Budgie fans. But
Alchemical Tech says, in my opinion, Queensryche is the first band that put Seattle on the music map. I mean, what other Seattle bands were there at this time?
There was Hart,
Jimi
and
Hendrix.
and Hart, and I
didn't
can't
know
think
Hendrix
of it.
was from Seattle.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Hart. Anyone else? That's all I can think of.
all I can think of is my choices were What About Love or Queen of the Reich. I definitely go Queen of the Reich.
Well, what's funny
I
about
like Hart.
Hart
I like Hart.
is their Seattle band, but they got their break in Canada.
yeah. A lot of people think they're right from Canada.
Yeah, because the Mushroom Records is Canadian label. Yeah.
The Fruit Cup says, deconstructing that album, Maiden Worship that flew beyond. They didn't know they did it, but they did. Alchemical Revolution. I loved the Mindcrime so much. I went out and bought everything of theirs I could find at the time. I felt the same way after I heard Empire. I had to get everything. He also said progressive metal was never a thing until the 90s, if my memory serves me. And then Edward Wright, first Queensryche album I bought was Mindcrime. Love them, especially the first 6 albums. Rageful Order is the best. Kind of agree with that. All right, Lou, welcome finally to the show.
Hey guys, good to see
about
y'all.
The first EP,
right?
How we got into Queensryche. So
okay. Before I say anything though, wouldn't we have considered Fate's Warning the first ever like progressive metal band? Like, were they a little after Queensryche?
They were about the same time, I believe.
Yeah,
well, I mean, if we're gonna get technical,
Night on Brocken was 84.
Yeah, the EP was originally released in 82, but didn't get wider distribution till 83, 84, if I remember correctly.
You are correct.
So I would give it to both of them. They both had something going on at the time that inspired many. Yeah, maybe Fate's Warning not so much, but I mean, in terms of record sales.
However, even better than that though. Even though they were batshit crazy, super progressive thrash metal at the time, Voivod's War and Pain came out in 84.
Yeah, Night on Brocken didn't come out until 84. They had demos out before that, but and the EP was out in 83, right? So
yeah. So the question, the $1 million question you asked me was how I got into Queensryche. Well, thankfully there was the Power Hour on U68 that would broadcast on our VHF television sets at home, and the Power Hour would show the best in hard rock and metal at the time. So there was a lot of Kiss, a lot of Quiet Riot, a lot of Iron Maiden, and then just happened to be this one band with 5 white dudes playing in front of a bunch of Japanese people, and it was the video for The Warning. And I was like, I like this band. Who is this band? And then my brother Mike, God rest his soul, the next day bought both The Warning and the self-titled EP. And again, great memories as a kid, 5, 6 years old, rocking out in his Camaro in the front seat with no booster seats. You killjoys, rocking out to Queensryche. So, that was my foray into it. And are we talking about the first EP already?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We didn't get to Warning yet.
Okay. A perfect 4-song EP, although 5 if you include some reissues with the Prophecy, which is a great song. But and again, love Queen of the Reich, love Lady Wore Black, but when I got to listen to it today, I would have to say that I think my favorite song, Call It the Dark Horse, I got to give it to Blinded. I mean, that's such a great song and a great riff. And, what I'll give the Queensryche lineup of today is that they definitely acknowledge the past. But I'm a knucklehead because I like album cuts. So, for me, it's like if they went deeper, I'd be all about that. But, that's not what they're about at this moment. They're, living their glory with the songs that the fans want to hear. So, I'm just one person.
Yeah. All right, very cool. All right, let's go to the warning.
Warning.
Yeah. Again, I used
Which
to
in
got a
Japan,
Japanese
the
release.
lettering was changed to fuchsia in color.
Yeah.
I'm not taking out the poster though; they're too
I
big
like
to
it.
unfold.
I like the gold one. The gold, I don't know, gold looks better with it.
We're used to it.
Yeah.
Actually, I kind of get it because to me, at least, I understand where the fuchsia is easier to read, but I like it both ways. The
I'm
gold
sure
does look the
do.
best. Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, whatever. I can already tell why you like the later stuff better because they went from being hard rock to being crying little pussies. So that's right up your alley.
That's right up my alley.
Lady Jane.
Yeah. But this album,
Lady Wayne.
you bastard.
Windmill.
The Wayne were
Windmill.
black. Sorry.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Continue.
I love this album. It's actually it's a very big step up from the EP. Really, just the musicianship and just the songwriting and everything on this album, just a huge step up. And just from the beginning, the first song, "Warning," this is awesome. Enforcer. I mean, it's completely different than what they did on the first album. Deliverance, No Sanctuary. There's not a bad song on here. NM156, probably my favorite Queensryche song ever. I first heard that song, I couldn't stop listening to it. I had to keep going back and listening to that thing. Take Hold of the Flame, Before the Storm, Child of Fire, Roads to Madness. That's the first song I ever heard. It was like over 9 minutes long. It's like, damn, this is a long song, but it's awesome. You can sit there and listen to the whole thing. It doesn't bore you. It's great to listen to. And I love the album cover. I used to have this on cassette. I just finally found this on vinyl. I've been looking for this. And strange enough, I found 3 of them over the summer. I've never seen it on vinyl here anywhere. And to me, it's always been hard to find and hard to come by, but I finally been able to find a vinyl version of it. I have a CD and a couple other things, I think. Maybe I had 2 CD versions of it. But I don't have a Japanese press. Greg has the Japanese presses.
Greg's got all the Japanese presses.
Everything. If Greg has it's Japanese. And Alchemical Text says Rose to Madness. Yes, that is awesome. Ken, the warning.
I think with the warning, starting with the warning and then at least through the next several albums, they didn't. You could tell that they had just a huge growth spurt between the EP and the warning. The songs and the structure of the songs and maybe it had to do with a little bit better production, but I don't think that they sounded the same as the EP.
No, completely different. Yeah.
But that's a good thing because like I said, to me, they really grew. And the warning for me, I think is when they really were coming into their own. They weren't sounding, like we've talked about the EP. They kind of, you could hear the Iron Maiden, you could hear the Priest a little bit. You could hear, I think, more of the influences, even though it was still different. But with the warning, to me, they were just in their own, ball field. They were doing their own thing, and they didn't sound like everyone else. I mean, the structure, the songs, the melodies, and you could already see they were starting to experiment a little bit with sounds and the writing style. You can blame them for the way I write. I know I drive Alex nuts with the weird chords that I use.
Yeah.
Because of them.
Yeah.
I use all these weird chords, but and Jeff Tate's voice definitely, how one of the guys put it, mature. You could tell it was maturing.
Yeah.
It was his tone deepened. The tone changed. It got better. And just some of the notes that he hits in those songs. I mean, look at Take Hold of the Flame. I mean, that opening salvo, well, it's not a scream because it's a clean vocal track, but I think it's like a high C or C sharp or something. I mean, it's way up there.
And he holds that note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he starts out, he goes and he holds it, and then he doesn't let up from then to the whole song. It's just up here. But still, even though he was singing high, a lot of metal bands where the singers, they sing high, but they're using so much of their head voice. And I mean, Jeff Tate had this incredible ability to go from his chest voice into his head voice or falsetto seamlessly at the same level. So it wasn't like you could, oh, okay, he just changed into his head voice. It was almost seamless. And a lot of metal bands, the singers, they can hit these high notes, but you can tell when they're singing, then all of a sudden, they're going into their head voice, and in the tone of his voice, that's what really got me and made me, sent me into that direction. As a singer, vocally, was the tone. His I don't know whether it's because if he had some opera lessons, or the way he formed the words with his mouth. You can watch his mouth, and the way he'd open his mouth, you could tell how he was directing his voice. And I don't know, the tone's what really got me about him. They hit these incredibly high notes, but still have this tone that you just go, whoa, But The Warning, for me, I really, really like The Warning. I liked Rage for Order after that and after better. I think The Warning is a solid, really good album, and it was showing where they were starting to go, the direction they were going. Yeah. And that's kind of how I see that. But there are a lot of really good songs on. The only complaint I had about The Warning is that a lot of the songs kind of sounded similar a little bit, going from one into the next, with a lot of the picking and stuff like that. But they were still really good songs. But it's the growth for me on that album. And I could hear, okay, these guys are going somewhere,
Very cool.
That was a high E that he hit in Take Hold of the Flame, by the way, Ken.
That's a high note.
Yeah,
Chemical Tech said he's actually played NM156 as an intro for several of his podcast episodes he's done about AI. Pretty cool. That fits right with that. Cool. And he had incredible vocal control on that album. Yes, he did.
Yes.
Yeah, he had it on every album, but honestly,
yeah,
really.
Yeah. I mean, even the ones that we may not care for, he still could sing.
Yeah, he's still got.
Matter of fact, what's amazing, he's never lost his voice. He may have lost range because of age and because being a rock singer, you overuse your voice, so that might have, but he still sounds good to this very day, truthfully. Yeah.
All right, Manny.
Good point. The control. That's another big point. He had just a command of his voice that a lot of rock and metal singers don't have that command and control over the movement of his voice. Like I say, from chest into head seamlessly. That's just control. That's like an opera singer.
Well, when I was in a band, the way you became a singer when I was growing up in the 80s is you look like a singer. I had no training. I had no idea. I'm being serious, They're like, so you would go ahead and do it, I didn't, but this guy knew what he was doing. Even as a kid, I knew that this guy knew what he was doing, and I had no clue. So
I'm sure that's how half the guys on the Sunset Strip got jobs.
Yeah, well, actually, it was because they were considered Vince Neil. I mean, and any other band would. And I like Motley Crue. Before I say this, but honestly,
you're not wrong.
Have you ever heard the Motley Crue performance of the US Festival? His vocals. People say he was bad now. No, he's always been bad live.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I say that all the time. I've got a live show from the Shout at the Devil tour in where the hell are they? Tennessee or something like that, from a radio broadcast. God, he sounds terrible.
The
Yeah, I
only
mean,
the only time I ever thought he sounded decent was when Randy Castillo was on drums, because I think they actually all were sober at that time.
well, there's a live album that they put out where you could tell he overdubbed a lot of his vocals,
You don't say.
Yeah, yeah. Because I saw him live in '85, and even then, I'm like, ooh, but nobody cared because everyone was partying or whatever. So, all right, Mike.
Well, you definitely weren't listening to Motley Crue for the musicianship in the 80s.
No.
You know what? Even though I like Motley Crue, I'm not listening to for it the musicianship now in the 2026 either. I just like them.
Dude, I love them. I still got my shout at the devil while I'm just out after Dr. Feelgood.
Oh. Well, all right. I guess it's my turn.
It's your turn, man. Yep.
Yep. So the warning, I got this a year after it came out, and I was my 15th birthday. And the two albums I bought, and I remember, was this and Loudness, Thunder in the East. I heard Loudness, but I never, that one song I heard. But Queensryche, I bought this because of all the magazines saying how great it was. And I loved it. And it didn't sound like anything else. I guess this is the birth of prog metal, for lack of a better word. Also interesting, James Guthrie, I believe is his name, produced it. James Guthrie was brought in by Roger Waters to help produce The Wall. It was produced by Bob Ezrin, but if you have a copy of The Wall, his name's in there. So the fact that they somehow got James Guthrie to produce this is pretty amazing. Because keep in mind, the term heavy metal, maybe we liked it, but critics at the time and so-called serious producers hated it. They didn't matter. They didn't listen to the music. Now it's respected. But so the fact that this guy agreed to do this, yeah, I know they had to do with money, but he knew what he had, and he was able to. I mean, if you listen to the EP and you listen to this, it's incredible. Lyrically, it's not. Take Hold of the Flame is probably the most commercial song on there. In reality, it's not really that commercial, It really, compared to what else is going on. Before Road to Madness, it's 9 minutes, but the way his vocal is, and then the music and the lyrics, I mean, he's really talking about a road to madness. Is he talking about Friedrich Nietzsche? Is he just talking about a madman? Also, the lyrics were intelligent. They used to call Blue Oyster Cult the thinking man's metal band. Queensryche was also the thinking man's metal band for sure. Just phenomenal. It really amazing. I will agree with all of you that I like the latter albums better. But a matter of fact, if you put these 6 albums and listen to them in a row, you can tell it's the same band, but they don't make the same album twice in a row, for sure.
Stan.
I mean, to me, this seems, out of the 6, they're most like a power metal sounding album with, some of those like prog undertones. I really like the NM 156. That's my favorite song on the album too.
Okay, you're lucky.
Good man.
I read that.
I don't have to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just remembered what you were telling me in the chat. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's a really cool tune. I I remember reading that like the band like hated the production on this album. Is that true?
It's not the production. What happened was they
Or
went
the
over
mixing?
budget. Yeah, it was the mixing. They went over budget. So EMI took the album away from both James Guthrie and the band Queensryche. And I can't remember. I'd have to look. One of you've got the album. It should tell you who mixed it. But they, which is incredible because James Guthrie was paid a lot of money. It's not like they hired, me to produce the album. They hired a guy who's worked with Pink Floyd and I don't know who else.
So the guy who mixed it is named Val Garay, and I'm going to say this now. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but just otherwise I'm going to forget again. So EMI was super confident in them and they wanted to get it out and get it out quickly. but they also kind of gave him a choice. And I believe the band asked to work with James Guthrie. And that is also why Michael Kamen does the orchestral arrangements on it.
It's mixed by Val Gary.
Yeah, I think Greg is that who just mentioned that guy. That's who I gave it to. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was just saying how Guthrie came into the picture and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what
forgot
they're
to mention
talking
about
It,
Michael
it
Caine.
sounds great, in my opinion. I mean, it's it just sounds like a really solid '80s metal album. I mean, like, I have no complaints about the production or the mixing.
Yeah, it sounds cool to me. It sounds cool.
Yeah, well, the band had an issue with the mixing. Not, I'm used to it because this is what I heard. I don't know what was in their head.
I forgot to mention too about the orchestras and stuff like that, which was done by Michael Kamen. It was cool to hear a band doing that stuff because when I first started getting into metal, I didn't hear any bands yet that did, added like the orchestras and things to their music. So it was interesting to hear the Queensryche do that.
Well, that had to be James Guthrie because Michael Kamen worked with.
It says Michael Kamen right here.
Yeah, but he worked closely with Roger Waters and David Gilmour and Bob Bezrin on the orchestration on the wall. Correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but I'm right on that, right? Greg?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I'm just going by what it says on the thing. All right, Greg.
Hang on 1 second here.
Yeah, we're
in so they went $300,000 over budget, and the label took it away from them. This Val guy was just an EMI staff dude, basically. Never heard of the band before, never heard anything else by him. They handed it to him. He mixed it. The band didn't hear it until it came out, and they weren't too happy with it.
To me, that's crazy, though. Why hire James Guthrie and then take it away from him and the band? That to me is insane. It's not like they hired,
well, it had a hard release.
Poison or something, some
no,
guy that cost,
but I mean, that was a common thing labels would do, if it was going over budget, and when they had them set release dates, it was going to be done on time. And $300K is a lot of money. It was really their first album. I understand how it happened, as stupid as it might be.
I think record labels learned from their mistake with Pyromania.
Dude, did you see where this thing was recorded? If you look, it was recorded at Abbey Road, and I can't remember the other studios they went to.
Well, don't forget, I mean, we're talking about a time where bands had money thrown at them by record labels expecting return of investment. So they were just like, yeah, we'll give you this much money, but you gotta pay it back with interest. And how many of them? I mean, King's X, one of my favorite bands, I think still owes Atlantic somewhere in the tune of like $20 million.
That's ridiculous. How can they owe him $20 million? That's beyond ridiculous.
No return of investment in terms of record sales. It's not me. It's not
sell enough,
Nah, dude. Unfortunately, and I love King's X. I'm biased towards them musically, but it's the business. It's the business. That's what it is.
All right,
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Anyway, Scott, my neighbor that I was talking about, he dubbed the EP and Warning onto a tape for me, and then I got them both at the same time on CD, which, by the way, Prophecy, one of my favorite tracks ever, that was added to the EP. I had no idea, wasn't originally part of it until I got the vinyl years later. And then such a huge step forward on the Warning. And it's still my favorite because you get them right in that balance because they're moving forward. But they're right in that balance where they still are the super heavy of the early days, like the Mob era almost, and the progressiveness of where they would go forward. And I think a big part of that is, so I don't know how much you guys know about the history, but they wrote the 4 tunes on the EP, which was basically a demo, and recorded it in '81, but their vocalist had left. Tate they borrowed from the band Myth just to sing on it, and actually he wrote the lyrics to The Lady Wore Black while they were in the studio recording that. So it was very quick, off the cuff, and none of it was ever really developed with him outside of that one song, which he does an amazing job with his vocals, knowing that. But so he had about 3 years pass in between writing the material, and they were actually, working with the vocalist all together as a band. And NM156 is my favorite, but Take Hold of the Flame, I wouldn't use the word commercial at all. I mean, it's definitely worthy of radio play, but it's just that strong of a song.
Well,
I mean,
that's what I said. It's
there's
commercial,
no
but it's not.
difference in the intensity of that, or in force or warning itself. But another thing that I think Stan might have said that I find interesting. So in this era of the band, every song sounds different to me, and I can pick them out almost instantly, even though it all has that Queensryche sound. Mindcrime is where I feel it starts getting monotonous and a little samey on the tunes. So
Well, I'm
that's
looking forward
Blasphemy.
to. Well, I'm looking
Huh?
forward to hearing your take on that when we get to it,
Yeah,
Greg.
we'll get to that one.
But yeah, Take Hold of Flame, one of the best songs ever. This is my favorite overall. You should own this album if you're a metal fan.
All right, cool. Lou.
I was very disappointed to hear Greg say and another thing and not do this and another thing. I was kind of hoping he had done that.
Christ, it's 9,
I know, but any chance
and
I
we're
get
only
to,
on the warning.
any chance I get to throw a Nico McBrainism in there, I will. Fuck my old boots. Anyways, moving right along.
Fuck my old boots.
You want to take the piss? I'll show you how to take the bleeding piss, my son.
I'm not out of order. Anyway.
Sure.
All right, come on.
Recording this.
Sorry. Very strong debut album. I'm willing to agree with you all that NM156 is the best song on the record, just because I don't think anyone really tried to do anything like that at the time. So it was very revolutionary in terms of its approach and risk. And I definitely say that the risk, the reward was worth the risk, because this album is a favorite amongst Queensryche fans. I mean, it's voted, one of the best in like so many metal, musicians and critics alike. And again, I mentioned, watching the Warning video and Take Hold of the Flame on a little UHF channel, because we didn't have cable at the time. That was how I first discovered Queensryche. My personal favorite, though, has to be Take Hold of the Flame, only because I don't know, I just get like this surge of like just goosebumps like radiating through me every time I hear it. I never get tired of that song. 40 plus years later, I'm still not tired of that song.
That's how I snapped that cassette, is because I used to rewind that all the time.
I believe it. By the way, one thing I failed to mention about the EP was if you did have it on cassette, all 4 songs were on each side.
Yeah.
So
Yes, yep.
that was cool. So back to the Warning. I mean, it's a stellar debut album, and I have to give credit to all the musicians for how talented they sounded on it. But I gotta admit, the thing about the album that really stuck out to me, and I heard you were talking about him as I was coming onto the feed, Scott Rockenfeld's drums. I mean, one thing that a lot of 80s drums, a lot of people say about drum sounds back in the 80s was that it sounded too tinny. I don't think his drums suffer on this record at all. I mean, obviously become more, there's more of a presence there on future albums, starting with the next one, but I don't know, just the way he sounds, it just carries the rhythm throughout each song. Chef's kiss.
I know they wanted to start the album off with NM156. I don't know if it really would have worked as well as The Warning works as the first song.
I would agree with you on that. I have to ask though, because there's definitely like some like heavy sci-fi type stuff on this record. So I'm wondering, were they huge Orwell readers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, especially Chris DeGarmo, he was a huge fan of 1984, and that was his main influence in writing this album.
Funny
Also,
because he left the music industry to work on planes, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, but keep in mind, 1984. That was in the I was 14, and that was the big thing. There was reinterest in George Orwell because of the year. There was a commercial where they had the big Olympic commercial. I forgot what it was for. That cost like $1 million. So all of that stuff was in the air at that point.
You mean when McDonald's tried to rig the giveaways and then the Soviets boycotted it? They lost millions of dollars.
No,
Well,
it was.
I'm older than him, and I don't remember that.
It was a commercial they did for the Olympics where it's supposed to be some sort of society, and some girl comes up and smashes it with a hammer. I don't remember. I can't remember who did. Maybe it was some big time, huge company. It spent like $1 million, which was like a fortune for a commercial back then. I wish I could remember who did the commercial, but anyway, all this stuff was in the air at that point in time. 1984, George Orwell, and all of that because of the year. I remember that very clearly. So see, it does pay to be old sometimes, Lou. Anyway.
Very nice. Well, how pretentious it is of some creatives to talk about such topical things. Anyways, the next Severed Angel album is going to be a concept album about AI, so we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, look who's joining us. Al's joining us.
What?
Only an hour late, Al.
The legendary Al. Let him in.
Al Horder. Yeah, he's coming in. All right. Rage for Order. Again, they've changed. They've changed their sound and they changed their look into gay vampires.
Dear God,
and you have the second press.
I have the second press. Actually, I have that on CD too. I have that CD and a cassette of that.
You know what though? Black Ring, so much easier to read than this blue one.
Oh yeah, I don't like the blue.
Yeah,
Greg, I didn't even know
it was a good change.
I didn't even know there was a second edition to that cover.
Yep,
it's the one with the black ring. Is the second edition.
Yeah. I mean, Wayne, hold up that back cover again.
Version before.
Oh, the back cover.
Doesn't that just scream obsession by Animotion when you look at those photos?
look.
You're an obsession.
Like the way he's taking off. Like the way
actually,
it's so blurry.
The way Tate looks right there, I really expect
you do him, wouldn't you?
If he were if he were to open his mouth right then, exactly what he say would be Dracar Noir. It does look like a cologne commercial. I've always thought that. That's funny you said.
It's just funny. Eddie Jackson. It looks like he's just got out of the shower. He put his robe on. It's weird.
I mean, what the hell? I figured the price of my dignity is about $3 million a year. I think you could provide that.
I couldn't put my Ginate Moose in yet.
I mean, I guess they did. But the look did fit with the album. The look did fit with the album, with the music and stuff like that. Because
it smells like Aqua Velva from here.
It was almost like futuristic, I guess. Maybe.
You know how long that look lasted? One video.
Yeah, I know. They didn't like it.
Yeah, and then because I saw them opening up for AC/DC on that tour, they weren't wearing any of that shit. No. None of it. Yeah.
You can't blame them. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, really. I mean, it's cool, but maybe just for the photos, just so you're looking like kind of gothic looking, but to go out on stage and do that every night, no,
that literally lasted a video. They probably did a couple shows like that, and they all said, "Fuck this." That's what I think.
My brother was at that tour at Lemoore East on Queens Boulevard when it came to New York, and they had dropped that look. But if anybody wants to watch that video, the concert of it is circulating around YouTube. So it was pretty exciting to see Queensryche back then in like a club in Queens, which is now a laundromat. But I digress.
By the way, welcome Al Horder. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Al.
Hey, how are you guys?
Al. Not bad.
The legendary Al.
And the color schemes of his Russian maiden stuff actually work. Impressive.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me on. Sorry I'm late, but
only an hour
better late than never.
Right. Well,
we'll get to you.
What was I gonna say? Like everybody's been mentioning, like this is their favorite album. I think this is my favorite album of theirs too. Just between the sound, it's different. It's a little bit, it's got a little bit of everything. It's kind of gothic sounding. It's still got that. You can still tell it's Queensryche. They do that cover of
Gonna get
Gonna Get Close to
You.
You. I never heard the original. I mean, I know what the original sounds like, but to me, this is like the original. It's very
Well,
identical to the original, really.
Wayne,
What?
everybody I've ever talked to, though, and you will understand as soon as I say this, except for
Here's
Kent
the original
Wood,
right here.
agrees
Yeah, I've got that.
Queensryche does the definitive version.
This
Except
is
for
the
Kent.
original right here. Gonna Get Close to You right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like her actually.
Now Bello, she's a Canadian artist.
Yeah, she's actually pretty fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool song. What'd you say, Greg?
The
Everybody
Queensryche
I've
version's
ever
better.
met and talked to, except for Ken Wood, thinks the Queensryche version is the superior version. But he will die on the hill that Lisa does it better. I like her, but I think they do it best. I mean,
I like the Queensryche version better as well.
I do too, and this is from a guy who likes the original.
Yeah.
So,
but
yeah.
Again, another one of my favorite songs, "I Dream in Infrared." That's probably my second favorite Queensryche song.
Absolutely.
But the whole album is just so good, and even like at the end, "I Will Remember." It's just a great sounding ballad song. It's just a really cool way to end the album. I mean, this whole entire thing, it's just from start to finish. You can't get better than that.
Here's the inner sleeve.
yeah.
Dude, let me tell you, the poster with that Japanese album where it's in color, it looks so much worse.
Does it really?
Because
it's this in.
Yep, but it's in color.
Oh.
But it's also, if I fold it out all the way, them things are like 3 by 3 feet. It's too big. I'll see if I can find a picture online.
Yeah. Alchemical Text says Screaming in Digital is a great follow-up to NM156. Yeah. I didn't even never really gave that a thought.
I didn't even think about that, but I agree.
Yeah. All right, Ken.
Well, y'all gonna well, if you could, you're gonna throw stuff at me. But I thought the outfits were cool.
Hey,
you know who else thought were cool? Those outfits were cool, Ken? Prince, because he goes, "Where are my outfits?"
I almost forgot. I do this every time he comes on the show. There he is, right there.
Yeah, you had to point it out.
You're my obsession. Sorry.
My obsession.
There he is.
Yeah. So, okay.
And I thought it looked cool too when I first got it. I mean,
back then, yeah, of course.
I was like, I don't see what's wrong with this.
I was 6. I thought it was cool.
It was really, again, just like the music, it was really different. I mean, who was really doing, at least in the look, that to me, I looked at them in what I would call now goth. They're very gothic, Dracula and all that kind of stuff. And very what the look fit the, I want to get close to you totally. But as far as the album, like all you guys and probably everyone else, this album and Operation Mindcrime are my two equally favorite Queensryche albums. This one, I think they totally burst out the barn with the sound, the songs, you get all the experimentation and sound effects and using different kinds of instruments. It wasn't just guitar, bass, and drums, and maybe a little keyboard. All this experimentation going on in it. The songs were. There's not one bad song, at least in my opinion. There's not one bad song on that album. And I agree with you, Wayne. To close the album, which I think for that time period was kind of risky, with I Will Remember. They're not closing the album with a bombastic, driving in your face metal tune. But it's such a powerful song. I've always wanted to redo that song, that way.
Yeah.
But the whole album, the production, I think, and I don't want to say light years ahead of The Warning, but the production along just with the songs and everything, you could tell again this big burst in growth. You know, they went from the Warning and to this Opus thing. This wow, you know. I love the album cover. It's simple, but it's so cool. And again, you know, and of course, you know, I'm going to hit on Jeff Tate's voice for obvious reasons the most. But his voice, you know, it's like, could you possibly get better?
Wow.
His voice was even better in the range and the depth of his vocal performances. It's just an amazing album. And the thing is I think that album, holy crap, I don't know, we got thunder or someone's dropping bombs out there. I hear just, but I think that they were way, at least years ahead of their time with this album.
Definitely.
To other artists at that time. Because it's still, even today, you listen to it today and it's not like you go, yeah, it's a good album, but gosh, you know, kind of really 80s, you know, sounding like a lot of bands from that metal bands from that time. You know, you listen to it now and you go, boy, that's was 80s.
Yeah, it's dated, but this album does not sound dated at all.
No, it still sounds fresh today,
Yeah.
like they could have done it last year.
Yeah.
You know, so, but phenomenal. I could go on for an hour about this album. I could go on for 2 hours about the next one, but and you'll notice though, even before Operation Mindcrime, the Warning and this album had loose concepts.
Yeah.
They weren't full-on concepts album, but they had a concept throughout the songs.
And Ken, that's what I think makes these two stronger than Mindcrime, because here the concept flows in and out and is organic, as opposed to them trying to shove it into a story.
Yeah, that's true. The next one, Operation Mindcrime, I mean, you could say, even though it's my favorite along with this one, would be what the word you'd want it, contrived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it was written. It was
that feels a little strong, but I get. Yeah, I understand totally what.
Yeah. These were just loose concepts. Where Operation Mindcrime, of course, I mean, that's a full-on story with a plot and a beginning, middle, and end, and you know, that kind of thing. So we'll get to that. So
yeah,
I always liked how and Alchemical Tech reminded me of it as well. With I remember, I will remember, kind of leads up to Mindcrime in a way, because how Mindcrime ends, you know, I remember now kind of thing. So it kind of, I don't know if they kind of had, they knew they were gonna kind of like fit these two albums together or not, but that always made me think, oh, did that really belong, you know, that way? Did they want to do it that way? Was there a reason for that?
I like how they opened up with I Will Remember. I think they opened up with that song on that Unplugged. I believe. Yeah, that was cool. The MTV Unplugged.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I think they opened up with I Will Remember, which was I remember when I first saw that when it was new, I was like, whoa, that's cool, man. You know. So
that was a good Unplugged show.
Yeah, I love that Unplugged.
Yeah.
Manny.
Okay, so what I really love, I love this album, and my favorite thing about the album, I like how different it is than the previous album, but I love the lyrics, and the reason is because the album explores. Also, I don't think there's a concept to it. I get where you guys are coming from, but I think it's about the real life and the real world. It isn't, you know, I met my baby and took her on the back seat, and it's also, I remember you. There's a real sense of loss, like this guy is remembering. And I like how it's open to interpretation. Is this a lover that he lost? Is it a family member? Is it a time past? You know, and this and the emotional depth that he puts into that vocal and the performance by those guys. And the producer of this was Neil Kernan. I think that's how you say it. So Neil, he's got a very diverse portfolio. He produced Brand X, which was Phil Collins' little super group, and he also produced Hall and Oates. As a matter of fact, he produced Hall and Oates' biggest album called H2O. That had was that the one with Maneater? I have the album somewhere. But anyway,
Maneater, you're right.
yeah, but this guy's production. So again, they go outside of the box and find a producer that is not known for producing hard rock metal acts. He became known for that later on. And he would produce Helix. Did he produce Dawkins? I don't remember. But
Yeah, Under
anyway,
Lock and Key.
okay, he did produce Dawkins. Okay, and a few other guys. Autograph, that's another one. So he did kind of go in that direction later on. But in the beginning of his career, he was not producing that kind of stuff. He was going all over the place. Musically, we haven't talked about that too much. It's so different than The Warning once again. And I don't know who picked the producer, if it was the band or the record label or they had their choice, but that was an inspired choice because this guy knew how to get those songs across. I believe parts of it were recorded digitally. I'm not sure, but I believe it was. And that gave it a very different sound. And it didn't, I don't know why it's not dated because it should be. As far as the image, unfortunately, that was part of the image at the time, but even that's a little different. You're not going to confuse them for Poison. And I hate to pick on Poison. No, I don't. I like picking on Poison, actually. But their image is almost gothic, meets Prince, meets glam. And then they decide to hell with that and they throw it away like, when they start opening for AC/DC, even before then, maybe. Anyway, excellent album. I'm not sure it's my favorite, but I listened to it recently, and it's freaking phenomenal. And yeah, their cover I'm going to get close to is way superior than the other one. So,
yeah, 100%.
I've never heard it. I'll have to check it out. I've never heard the original.
It's very similar.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close, dude.
Until just now, as much as I'm a Queensryche nut, I thought that was their song.
Yeah. Learn something new every day.
The other version.
Stan.
So I think one of the biggest things about this band is like their ability like to change up their sound with each album while maintaining their identity.
Yeah.
And like with the warning, and to me felt like a straightforward heavy metal album, and this one is now like has more keyboards, it has more sound effects, it feels more, the production feels more sleek. It's like it almost sounds futuristic or something.
Yeah.
It's got that vibe to it. And of course, you see Jeff Tate's natural progression as a singer, and he's just getting better and better here. Walk in the Shadows, I really like the Whisper. Close to You, I love that song. I actually didn't know it was a cover, and I don't think I heard the original either. So, but I'm curious to hear how it sounds like. But I really like that song. That's the song that I kept going back to. So, which is
Funny,
kind of
I used to
odd
not.
because it's
I used to
not
not like
theirs.
that when I was younger. I used to skip that song all the time, but as I got older, it grew on me.
And London's a cool tune. Um, yeah, great album. You're just like kind of like seeing this band, you know, evolve
Because
and
you'd like to, you'd like
progress.
to, yeah, because you like to see what's going to happen next. Like, what else? How can
Yeah,
they
you're
top
just
the last
curious.
album? And they, for a while they do that. They do top the previous albums.
By the way, Jeff Tate learned to sing, apparently, um, from this guy named David Kyle, who taught Ann Wilson and Lane Staley.
Well,
oh wow, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he was like a big time vocal coach in the Seattle area back in the day. Oh, he also taught Chris Cornell a little bit too.
Huh.
So
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to drop out. So, but Al's a good replacement for me. And one thing I didn't mention
I'm
was
not going to
Alice
mention Alice
Cooper.
Cooper.
I did not mention Alice Cooper. What
is there
the
any way
connection
you
between-
could tie them in to Queensryche?
Yeah, what is the
They
connection
tore together
between-
in '97.
There you go. Thank you. And I saw that tour with Black Sabbath. Wait, was that Black
Wait,
Sabbath?
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it was 2007. It was Queensryche, Alice Cooper, and Heaven and Hell. So Sabbath with
We don't
Dio.
call it Heaven and Hell on this channel. We call it Black Sabbath. Okay.
Semantics, and I'm not
It's
I saw
Black
Heaven
anti-semantic.
and Hell in
Sabbath.
2007, but it was with Megadeth. Huh.
I saw
Must
no,
have
they
done
did
2A.
Queensryche,
No, the summer
Alice
tour was
Cooper.
Alice Cooper with
Yeah.
Queensryche.
Yeah, because I saw it, of course, because I go see Alice every time. There you go. I connected Alice, so my record is unbroken. Thank you, gentlemen.
I connected Alice. You shut up.
Well, I said the name and you connected it. So, Ken, I do this every show. I bring up Alice just to let you know. So,
Hey, it's cool with me. I like Alice Cooper too.
all right, gentlemen, it's a great meeting you. I'm going to drop off, but Al is a great replacement. He's not as good looking as me, which is unfortunate, but he is a good replacement.
Who
hair's
is,
not as nice.
man? Who is as good looking as you?
His hair's
Get
not
out of
as
here.
nice as yours.
He
You're too
Alice
good looking
Cooper,
for the
of course.
room.
Alice.
The Elephant Man.
And he does have a
You know,
nice
that-
kind of a tie-dye Bob Weir tribute going on there, though.
With the
between
Iron
hat and
Maiden?
the Maiden shirt.
Oh, yeah, he does. He does. So that's very cool, Al, you know. All right, Al, we'll talk soon. All right, guys.
Brother. Later.
Later, man.
All right, Greg.
So, while the warning is my favorite, this is definitely my second favorite, and I will say I do think it's their masterpiece overall. So much more added complexity and growth from the last album on this one, and even though Ken, like you were saying, Tate always has such a range and can go from that head to that chest voice, and he shows it off a lot on the warning, but the way they write here plays to the dynamics of his voice so much more. I mean, almost every moment on this album is just beautiful. And although I would say Take Hold of the Flame is definitely their definitive song, I think I Dream in Infrared is one of maybe his best performance of the 80s, man.
Well, New Dell.
Oh, yeah.
He hit some notes in that one. That the last
London,
note,
too. Yeah.
It's like, my God.
Oh, and
there was no auto tune back then either.
Not vocals, but I was just thinking about this because we were talking about, and this definitely does have a lot of goth influence. Like, you can say whatever you want about the look, but I hate when people try to say, "Oh, they brought glam into the music." No, they didn't. If anything, they were listening to some Bauhaus.
Yeah.
But so yes, they do get more developed on the lyrics with this, with some more personal and social themes, but government intrusion and AI robotics is still a huge theme on this. And I think, and if anybody can come up with another example to prove me wrong, that's great. I just happen to think of this right now, but Queensryche might be the first band to ever use staccato guitars to imply robotics on an album. Because I swear, I don't think I ever heard that before Rage for Order.
Consider me glib. What's a staccato guitar? I never heard that.
When they do the staccato lines with the, I can't think of how to explain it better.
Let me Google it real quick. Sorry, continue.
Well, like
yeah,
yeah,
I think they might be the first band that ever did that with guitars to signify robots on an album. Yeah.
We don't want to give that credit to maybe Welcome to the Machine from Pink Floyd, or was that a keyboard?
I think that was a keyboard.
Okay, then I'm wrong. Never mind.
But yeah, other than that, awesome album. Great album.
This album too, it from the first song all the way through, it's a dark album.
It is dark.
It is a dark album.
There's also hope weaved in with it that really plays
well, I mean,
the emotional side of human nature as compared to the robotics they're singing about. And that's what I love about it, where, there's no story, but it totally follows this dark concept of robotics and the government taking over, but also shows the beauty of human life at the same time. And it just flows so organically from the way it's written and performed to the production.
Yeah.
I not only the most beautiful album they've ever done, but one of the best albums ever recorded, I really think.
Well, I mean, I don't mean like, what I mean is dark, the sound, where most of the songs are, you know, a lot of minor keys, and you know the sound of the album is just a darker tone, putting the lyrics aside, um, and even Jeff Tate's singing, the vocals. You know, I mean, you look at London. You know, that's a good example. You know, the tone is very dark. You know, and I think that's one thing I really like about this album.
Dystopian, kind of dystopian.
Very dystopian. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I love dark. So, because I am dark.
It makes me think more, a little bit more nihilistic. Reminds me a lot of Bauhaus's When the Sky's Gone Out, actually.
Mm. Mm. Okay, I can see that though too.
In the chat, themes were way ahead of their time. I think the band was always ahead of their time, really, and very prophetic in nature. All right, Lou.
I'm perfectly willing to let Al go first.
No, I don't want him to go last. I mean, not at all. I just want him just to sit there because he was an hour late. You made us wait for him for an hour.
That's all right. You can go in.
By the way, Greg, my apologies. When you said staccato guitars, I thought they were like a guitar, but I didn't know you actually meant like the musical passage within the song was staccato guitar playing. I apologize. My brain's fried. Anywho,
it's okay. I just couldn't think of how to explain it any better.
No, you did. I'm just a dunderhead that didn't realize what you meant. So it's all good. Okay, so this was an album.
He does have blood dripping from his ears, so
anyway.
Well, you know what the phrase that way is. Once you go black, you go deaf.
Moving right along. I don't know how to.
Let me turn the lights off.
Excuse me while I whip this out. Anyways, so this was an album that when my brother first got the cassette, I listened to it pretty much every day. I, as a 6-year-old lad, really enjoyed this cassette album. And still do to this day. No, never heard it on 8-track. You know, I mean, there was just something about it, I guess, that spoke to me, and I don't know what it was. I mean, like it was not your typical, you know, 4/4 rock music or metal music. You know, there was some crazy stop time signatures in there, and they even like when I hear the songs and I think, you know, would I have done that guitar solo the same way? And I wouldn't. Which, you know, I think speaks a lot about DeGarmo and Wilton as guitar players themselves. I think they're definitely masters at what they are. And this album is a painful reminder for me about how much we've, you know, lost by not having Chris DeGarmo in a music recording scenario anymore. Definitely became like, of all the Queensryche members, he's probably the one that I was the biggest fan of as a musician, as a songwriter. You know, I think he definitely had that it factor for the band, and it really shows on a lot of these songs. There's not one bad song on it. You know, and I got to admit, listening to it today again for the first time in a very long time, you know, it definitely brought back a lot of memories about my childhood and how I was like, wow, I can remember I was young enough when this was brand new, you know, and just thinking how it just felt fresh again, you know, and it just goes to prove good music is timeless. You know, I'm glad the success that this record was bringing them. I think it was definitely well deserved. But you know, People could joke all they want about the way they look on it. It's a perfect album, and definitely Queensryche did not fail from the sophomore slump.
Mm-mm. No, he got better.
Found my cassette.
There it is.
That's the one I remember. Yep.
That's pretty cool. All right, Al. Do you want to give us a story about how you got into Queensryche? I mean, a quick one. You got 1 minute.
Yeah. I actually got into the first Queensryche album I bought was Operation Mindcrime, and then I worked my way back from that. But I do remember hearing Walk in the Shadows. I do remember hearing um, The Lady Wore Black and uh, the other song on the EP. What the hell was the first one? Queen of the Reich. I'm sorry. Um, on a college radio station in New Jersey, WSOU, which is still around today. They started in '86. So they became a metal station in '86, and they're still going strong today. So I used to hear those songs on the college radio station, but I finally went out and I bought Operation Mindcrime when I was starting to see like the videos on MTV and stuff like that, and I was like, I was already deep in the Rush and some progressive, Maiden and all that stuff. I was like, I gotta get this album. So I went and then I kind of worked my way back. So I got the cassette as well as like same as you, Wayne. I did pick this up in Portugal this summer when I went there. So I saw the European. This is a Portuguese pressing actually of the album. So I had to grab it because I had the first the other, not the black border but
The blue ring.
The blue one. Yeah.
the blue ring, yeah. So I was like, yeah, I because I went to a couple of record stores while I was there, so I had to pick that one up. But yeah, I mean, I think out of all the '80s albums, I think this one's my favorite as well. I mean, I love Operation Mindcrime, but this one is just, I think it's kind of took the number one spot for me as my favorite. So I mean, this at top to bottom, it's just a perfect album, man. I'm not gonna add anything more. You guys you've talked everything about it, so I mean, I love it. So,
all right, smart choice. All right.
well, I'm not talking a lot about it.
yeah. All right, let's move on along. Yeah, because this has already been what, an hour and a half show. So
Yeah.
Mindcrime. This is it's a concept album and first
And a
concept
great one
album.
at that.
Yeah, the first one I ever heard, I never heard of a concept album before. I'm like, what the hell's that? And it's this thing, and it's just another one. It's just great from the beginning to end. It starts off with I Remember Now and Anarchy X, like that interlude type thing or whatever, the intro, and really cool. And I remember seeing the video for Revolution Calling, I think probably on like MTV Headbangers Ball or whatever, and I thought that was really cool. That song really hooked me right away. But again, like Operation Mindcrime, Speak. But my favorite song on here is where the hell is it? I can't remember the name of it now. Not I Don't Believe It, Love. My Empty Room, is that the song? Shit, I can't remember the name of the damn song.
What?
It doesn't matter. I'll
You don't
figure it out.
remember any lyrics or anything?
Eyes of a
What do you
Stranger.
think
We're gonna go with that one.
What do you think of a video that you saw or some, or just a
No,
song?
I'm trying to think of the other song. I every time I listen to this album, I go to that song. But
Breaking the Silence.
No, it's not Breaking the Silence. I'll figure it out in a minute. It's just for some reason it's that I can't remember the name of it. But Eyes of a Stranger, though, that's my other favorite song of this album too. And another song I'd love to do a cover of that song, and I think I did mention it to Ken at some point. Maybe we'd cover that song. But a really, really great album. I don't want to get too far, going in this, and then I want Ken to give his opinions on this album. So go ahead, Ken.
Okay, I remember when as soon as it came out, I went to the music store when we still had music stores, and got it, and then went home, went in the bedroom, put that sucker on, and I laid there in the bed and listened to it, and it's like I was blown away by it. I had never been into concept albums. I mean, there's been other bands, big bands in the past that had put out, The Who, and that put out real concept albums with a story. I never really was into concept albums, so I wasn't really sure what I was gonna think of this one because I could see that it obviously was a full-on story-based concept album, and from the opening in the hospital, and then right into the first musical piece before the actual song hits, I was just like, wow, this is incredible. I've never heard anything quite like this. And this is another one to me from beginning to end, even all the little, interludes and little pieces in between, I call them connectors, connecting one full song into another full song. Um, it's just the way they put it together really took a lot of thought and time, and considering the lyrics and keeping that story moving and the arc of the characters. It The concept albums are not easy to do and do them well.
I agree.
Yes, but this is definitely in the top 5 greatest ever concept albums. And again, Tate's voice just matured and was even better than on Rage for Order. And the songs are strong, even considering it was were story based. The songs, you could hear some of them. Well, they did, but you could hear them on the radio, even though they were part of this long story. Just I wasn't really knocked out by the cover. I think they could have maybe done better on the album cover. It's not bad, but that doesn't have anything to do with the music inside.
I don't know. I always like this because I even like the logo thing that they did here too. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, the logo thing's cool. I don't know. It just didn't.
I like the colors, like it's black and white, and then they got the colors there.
Yeah,
it's cool. To me, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it now, of course, all these years later, I couldn't imagine it without that cover. So,
right.
But at the time when I got it, I was like, I don't know about the album cover, but the music, it is incredible. So, like I said, this one and Rage for Order are to me co-equal in my favorite. It's not like, well, one's more first and second. They're equal to me. I can't say I like one or the other the best. I like them equally as much. And I still listen to Operation Mindcrime all the time, especially right now. I've been pulling it out and listening to it quite a bit to get some ideas and thoughts. So, and of course, Wayne, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so
I have no idea.
Don't lie to me.
But I remember now. I remember the song. It was The Mission. I got confused because of the way that the track listings are written here. So it kind of confused me because I remember it on like the CD order. But that song, the way it starts out, it's got the the TV playing in the background and all the that's one thing I like about this album. It's got all the extra sounds and the talking in between the songs, and it just made it really, really cool to listen to. But that song, I just love that so much because of the way the intro starts out, like I said, with the TV, and then you got the acoustic guitars and Jeff Tate singing over that, and the way it like explodes and like gets big, and it's just a really awesome song. It's one of my favorite songs off here.
Well, Rockinville kicks ass on this album.
Yeah. And I was going to mention that before too, how also his drum sound too. Like he's got that signature snare drum sound. When you hear that sound, nobody really else has that. I don't know what the hell, how they even got that. I guess probably just some studio tricks or whatever. Or they threw like a firecracker in a snare drum and it explodes and they just copy and paste it on everything. But it's just got that signature sound. And Alchemical Tech also, Eyes of the Stranger was the first song of theirs that he heard. And he says, as a concept album, this was a masterpiece. I remember the video for Eyes of the Stranger too. That was a really cool video. Manny's gone. Sorry, Stan.
Yeah, so I don't believe in love.
I didn't think you did.
I I heard that song, more than 2 decades ago on the radio, and that's what made me want to, like check out this album and, absolute cinema. It's
It is.
fantastic.
It is a really good song. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, the whole album is great, and very, I like all the all the like the voiceovers and the that just kind of immerse you into the story. Unlike fucking King Diamond, doesn't doesn't have the same effect. Just but anyway, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good tunes here. Like like The Mission was one of my favorites. I like Eyes of a Stranger. Um, fucking Breaking the Silence. Those are all cool tunes. It's really difficult making a concept album. So I just like can't imagine how hard it was just to arrange everything and just to make sure that it plays to the story correctly, and everything just moves fluidly, and it's it's you know
Every song had a purpose on this
every
album.
song had a purpose. Like it's not not every band can like successfully write
Yeah.
a perfect concept album, and but these guys, like they knocked it out of the park, and Tate, to me, is at the pinnacle here. He
Yeah.
just kind of blossomed.
Yep. I think so.
So
When they have their one, I like that they put the one big epic piece, Sweet Sister Mary. It's
yeah,
just that one where you go, wow, okay, this was the production song. This was the big one,
Yeah.
So,
and the production is awesome here.
oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, like this is excellent.
And then adding the female vocalist, I can't remember her name, but that worked really well too.
Pamela
Pamela
Moore,
Moore.
Pamela Moore,
Yeah.
yes.
she's on the cover, right? The nun.
She's on the cover. I don't think that's her.
She's Sweet Sister Mary.
Oh, whatever.
It's funny the one part in the album where the guy's rolling his window down.
Mm.
It just reminds me. It's like, pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon? All right, Greg.
Yes. Yeah. It's a great concept album. I mean, but Tate blossoming here is kind of interesting. I feel like he was just as good as he was on Rage for Order. However, this has never been my favorite. I mean, when I first heard it, I'm like, oh, this is great, blah, blah, blah. It's a great concept album. I mean, they really pull it off, but I don't know if it's because they're trying to fit the concept so hard, but this one has always felt a little less dynamic to me than Rage for Order, actually. This one is kind of where they start, where they have songs that run in together and don't really stand out to me. Like, I could tell you every tune from Rage for Order just by hearing a couple licks from it, or Warning for that matter. But on this one, you got stretches of time where it's just like, whatever, spreading the disease, the mission, needle lies, breaking the silence, but then it picks back up with I Don't Believe in Love. So the middle of the album just it gets the story across, and I mean the arrangements are still cool and they move forward a little bit with getting even more complex, but I don't know. It just doesn't hit the same highs and lows for me as they did previously. And not to say that, the tunes are following the same chord progression or anything, because it's nothing like that. It's all written greatly. It's just not as exciting. And that's why I say not quite as dynamic. Now, Sweet Sister Mary has all of that, and it's awesome. That's like Ken said, that's the production song. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate the mission or anything. There's a lot of little parts to that are cool. It's just not quite as memorable for me as their other albums, which sounds kind of contradictory because I do think it's a great concept album and quite possibly a perfect one in that way. But I guess all the songs don't stick with me outside of the concept of the record, is what I'll say. And this is the first album from Queensryche where that happened for me.
Well, shame. Shame too. This is your last show. Lou.
Womp womp.
Hey, I'm having a knit fit like crazy. I got no problem with leaving right
now. Okay, so I'm going to be 100% honest.
Oh, he's fired too.
Shut up, Wayne. The first time I ever heard this album from start to finish was when I was in my Rush tribute band days, and we thought it would be a great idea for our band, Stakes and Arrows, to do. We did moving pictures from start to finish, and our friends in the Queensryche tribute band, Mindcrime, did the entire Mindcrime album and played it incredibly well. I never really gave this album a chance until that fateful day back in, I think it was in March or April of 2011. And this was actually my first time listening to the album from start to finish. You know what it was? It's just, I remember my brother and my cousins talking about it so much that it was the first time in my life where instead of being interested in what it was they were talking about, I felt like it was being overexposed to me. Now, mind you, I understand the concept of like, people saying they got sick and tired of watching the same old videos all the time on MTV due to overexposure. But remember, I didn't have MTV. At that age, 8 years old, when this album came out, my brothers and my cousins were all I really knew. You think my friends were listening to this stuff? Mm-mm. No kids my age were listening to this stuff when I was growing up. So I think just the fact that they were talking about it all the time, I had more interest in Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, because I liked Can I Play with Madness? Now, that being said, 45-year-old me would like to go back in time and kick the 8-year-old me square in the jaw because it's a great freaking album. I could see now why people were crazy about it. I mean, nobody was doing this in 1988. And let's talk about it. Like, what was popular in 1988 at the time? You had OU812 from Van Halen. You had Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. You had Skyscraper from David Lee Roth. Hysteria from Def Leppard was still on the charts. Nobody was doing what Queensryche was doing. And Queensryche was opening for Def Leppard on what at the time was Def Leppard's biggest tour in the United States ever. So obviously, it did very good for the band. Do I think it's the greatest concept album ever in the history of concept albums? No. Is it a good Queensryche album? It's a damn fine Queensryche album. I have to admit, even though I am very prone to Revolution Calling and I don't believe in love, again, I have to say the best song on the album's got to be Sweet Sister Mary. Again, it's just a genius concept of a song.
You said I don't believe in love wrong, but it's all right. We understand.
What did I say?
I'm just fucking with you because I don't believe in love the best, and you and I usually agree. So
no, I do. No, I'm saying like those two songs aren't my favorites, but I gotta give credit to Sweet Sister Mary. It is the best song on the album, and I think it's
definitely.
I think it's a perfect might be a little hard to swallow maybe at first for some casual fans, but the hardcore fans know what I'm talking about. So
I actually, and I will say this, I know we're going to get to it later, but as much as I like Sweet Sister Mary, I think it's near perfection. I think they perfected that concept actually on the title track to Promised Land.
I'm holding all comments about Promised Land until we get to it.
That's fine. Just something to think about. But yeah.
Okay.
Al?
Here's a version of Operation Mindcrime that I have. It's also coupled with the first EP. This is a French label, Axe Killer, put this out in '99. So it's kind of cool. It's like a kind of a leather bound book, and then it's got the Operation Mindcrime CD here, and it's got this, and it's got some cool like photos and stuff. Here's I actually met the band and I wanted to show. It's kind of cool where Jeff Tate kind of signed it on his arm here.
Nice.
On one of the pictures.
That is an
and
official
then in the
release,
back,
right?
and then in the back is
Yeah. Oh,
is
yeah.
another CD with the EP in it, the first EP. I first bought this on cassette though. Like I said before, this is the first album I bought, and I still have my original cassette as well. But yeah, I got this one. Produced by Peter Collins, who had just done 2 Rush albums. So he had done Power Windows and Hold Your Fire, and then went on to do this one. Um, so it was the production team of him and Paul Northfield, I think. Or no, James Barton. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
was gonna
He
say
was
James
James
Barton.
Barton was the engineer.
Yep.
And so that's why the sound I like the production on this as well. It's really, really, really good. And I was at the time, Rush was kind of just like they were not doing hard rock at the time. They went off into their Power Windows, Hold Your Fire, kind of jazzy fusion-y phase.
Oh, I don't know if I'd call it jazz.
Well, a fusion, like a little fusiony, like kind of. There's elements of it in there. I'm not saying it's jazz, but
I hate Hold Your Fire, but
yeah, it's not very loved by a lot of people. But I like the
Power
album.
Windows I do like. But
Yeah, but Peter Collins produced this one. He would go on to produce the following one as well for Queensryche. So I dig the production of the album. I missed them on this tour though when they were open for Metallica. I didn't see that tour. I would go on to see them the following tour, which we'll get to. So anyway, I'll keep it short so you guys can move on. So I love the album. I still love the album.
All right, very cool. Empire. Once again, they changed. Even like changed the themes of their writings and stuff like that. This is more like real world type stuff, things going on, and like the first song, "Best I Can," about a guy in a wheelchair and all that stuff. So it's really cool. I love that song. I think that's one of the first songs I heard. I mean, earlier I said it was probably Another Rainy Night, but I think it was "Best I Can" because I remember that video. But really just like a very inspirational song. Every time I listen to that song, I don't know, it's like one of my favorites. It really gets to me. Jet City Woman, really great song. Another Rainy Night. Empire, I mean, who can't like Empire? That song is just it's just awesome. It's just one of my favorite songs of this era. And anybody listening, that's one of my other favorite songs. And I remember they had a big premiere on MTV with that video. I think it was like a really long video or something, some kind of like artsy fartsy video. And they had a special premiere about it or whatever. And I remember that, and it was pretty cool. I stayed up to watch that. And,
it was in heavy rotation back in the day. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, the videos were very, very artsy for this album. Very.
Yeah. But I love the way it sounds. I just love everything about it. Like I said, this is my intro to Queensryche pretty much. So I listen to this constantly all the time. I remember too, I had the cassette, and my bus driver, she used to play cassettes all the time, and she would like let the kids bring a tape on the bus and play it or whatever. So I brought this album with me, and she played it, and I listened to it, and from home to school and whatever. And it was pretty cool. I remember just fun times.
Was that the first time you heard NWA?
NWA? No, we did not play that back then.
Straight out of Compton.
But Ken, Empire.
Well, this one, I really like the album. This one, was totally, to me, different than the Warning, Race for Order, Operation Mindcrime. It seemed like on this one, all the songs on it are really good songs. They're all very tightly written. I think that they were trying to go a little more commercial.
Yeah.
With this one, the songs weren't as dark and really as compared to the previous albums. They were not as necessarily as long. They fit into the pocket for radio airplay. Um, this album, how can I put it? This album to me felt safe.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they were coming off of the success of Operation Mindcrime and gaining the popularity, and they kind of like Metallica, the Black Album. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of wanted to push it a little further in the sense of popularity and that, so they wrote these very concise, tight, very melodic, radio oriented um, songs to me. I mean, Jet City Woman, uh, Another Rainy Night. They're all very radio friendly,
Yeah.
but they're really good songs. I I like all the songs. They're, for me back then, when I could still hit those notes. I really enjoyed singing along with the songs on this album because they were a little more radio friendly. They weren't. Tate wasn't so much experimental in the sense of his voice going all over the place and different registers and stuff. This was, he kind of kept it in tight and in the pocket on this album to me, so it was a little easier for me to sing along with than the other albums.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's still a very solid Queensryche album with very good songs. Not my favorite, but a good album.
Yeah, it's a decent album. I was gonna say too, I totally forgot. The second half, I wouldn't really go to it often. I mean, I always like Silent Lucidity and anybody listening, but the other couple songs that are on that second half of the album, I just usually skipped. That and Della Brown. I could never really get into Della. Now I kind of like Della Brown a little bit, but back then, no, skip that all the time.
I get what you're saying for the most part, except I've always loved Hand on Heart. That might be my favorite song from the record, actually.
Yeah, it's a decent song, but it's just not as strong as the other songs to the first side to me. Stan.
Well, Della Brown sucks, but
yeah, no, it really that's the worst song on the album, really.
So this feels, less metal than the other albums and more artsy progressive rock, more, you know, like the arrangements are a little more sophisticated. And um yeah, the production is just more, I guess, radio friendly. I mean, my favorite songs are the radio friendly songs, The Best I Can, Jet City Woman, Empire, and of course, Silent Lucidity. Um, but besides those, I mean, it's kind of like I don't know. It didn't really pique my interest as much as the other ones. Because I feel like with this album and Promised Land, they seem more experimental to me.
Yeah.
Like more, let's leave the heavy metal stuff behind and just do something more, adult orientated or something, you know, that kind of thing. So it just didn't really, grab my attention as much.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I was saying that with regards to Mindcrime, when I was saying that, Tate kind of like blossomed at that point. It's I think the big reason is because like his voice just matured. It kind of thickened. On the earlier albums, like he sounded a little thin. He was really young. He was a kid, and he sounded thinner and just more. I don't
I
know.
get what you're
More.
saying. I still think he sounds the same on Rage and Operation, though. I feel
Well,
like Rage is where his voice matured.
He's also on Mindcrime. He's also like playing characters, so he's really challenging himself. Because he's being more expressive. He's trying to portray these these characters, the Nikki character and Doctor X, and that kind of thing. So he's just more melodramatic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the word to use, but but yeah, I mean, but anyway, yeah, Empire, just more. I don't know. It just kind of sounds like AOR stuff to me. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's not bad, but it's not. I don't know. They were just. I guess they were maturing. I understand why they did this, but just didn't keep my attention for too long.
Greg.
Yeah, this one's good. I've always liked it. I still consider it one of their better albums, but this is really when Stan used the perfect word. They start getting a little too melodramatic and melancholy, where it carries through song, and the longer arrangements here feel more bloated than on purpose before. I think if they'd have taken a little bit more time to work through some of these tunes, maybe cut some of it, refine it a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
it would be a stronger album overall. But
Uh,
honestly, the radio tunes are really what makes this album as good as it is. I hate to say that about a Queensryche album, but really, I think the more simplistic stuff here, the more straightforward stuff, is really the best material on it.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, but to end, um, I do think it's them moving forward though. This kind of feels like an in between to me. Like, okay, we did Mindcrime. We took kind of that version of our heavy metal as far as we could. Let's experiment a little bit more and see what we could add into our sound. But they hadn't quite figured it out yet. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Where some of it works, but some of it doesn't. And because you can definitely hear the beginnings of Promised Land in this, especially after you hear it. But
Yeah.
the other part to that, though, and one thing I've always loved about Reich, regardless of the album, it's always distinctly them. Like there's definitely other influences in Silent Lucidity, but nobody else could have done that song like that except for Reich.
Mm.
Lou.
Empire is my second favorite Queensryche album.
Oh.
Um, I remember my brother Mike, uh, again, God rest his soul, um, at the biggest Queensryche fan I probably knew next to my cousin Mary. And he bought this CD, I think, first day. And he constantly just had it in the CD player at home. And I just remember, thinking, wow, this is the same band that did The Warning. This is the same band that did Queen of the Reich, same band that did Rage for Order. But, at the time in 1991, well, 1990, 1991, like around that era. And again, I think about when it comes to what bands on major labels were releasing at the time, the one thing that I could think of that makes the most sense is rather than trying to compete with what they've already done, they're trying to compete with what's already popular on the radio
Mhm.
or what's popular in terms of music at the time. And, 1990, 91, you're talking about music that was definitely like, uh, you know, overproduced. I'm talking like Bruce Fairbairn type stuff. I mean, or even Bob Rock type stuff.
I hate that
Even
Bruce guy.
I know you hate it, and I respect that. But I'm just speaking from an objective.
No, I agree, but
And you think about like a lot of this radio songs that were popular at the time. Like, I mean, like who was probably the biggest pop star on radio in 1990? I'd
Headed
have to
for a
argue it's
Heartbreak,
probably
maybe.
who.
Michael Jackson still.
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said pop song. I said Headed for a Heartbreak by Winger, but I misunderstood what you said.
no, I was gonna say like Phil Collins,
Mm.
like that. But Seriously album was like huge. I remember because like that song, Something Happened on the Way to Heaven. So I'm not saying Queensryche was definitely trying to compete with that, but I think like in terms of song structure, formula, songwriting, I think that's probably what they were trying to do, was sort of like reach like that type of fan base playing the kind of music that they're comfortable with, which is prog metal. But again, prog metal that is supposed to appease to a mainstream audience. I personally think that they succeeded with this album, and I'm sorry, but like uh, Jet City Woman again, like that's probably the song on this album that speaks the most to me. I think in terms of its dynamics, in terms of its performance, what's captured on record. And I played the song live, and I have to admit, it is not easy. It is no joke. And the fact that they made it sound as good as they did while writing these complex structures, kudos to them. You know, like this was the album that was going to set Queensryche, I thought, as like, a band, or if not the band to contend with in the 1990s. They definitely set the groundwork, I think, with Empire. And, I think it's great that through this decade, they took one of my favorite bands out on tour with them, Typo Negative, which kind of goes to show you that they did have their finger on the pulse of, what people wanted to hear. And, that's as a music fan, I couldn't ask for anything more.
Al.
Yeah, I think the album, I bought it when it first came out. I always attributed this album as kind of like their moving pictures, like Rush's moving pictures, in the sense that Rush kind of left that all that concept, kind of long concept and stuff behind with, like, 21, like, to me, like Operation Mindcrime was like their kind of 2112 hemispheres kind of album, where it was very conceptual. And with this album they did a complete 180 and wrote more concise songs, and it was their commercial zenith, much like Moving Pictures was Rush's zenith. I kind of compared it, and they were like 10 years apart, but they were always just kind of changing with each album, just kind of, I guess they weren't comfortable staying in the same place. So, and you got, Lou was right, in a way that, like, in 1990, 91, the landscape was already shifting. I mean, it was already, um, a lot of these metal bands from the 80s were kind of going for a more radio friendly kind of thing, especially like the progressive bands of the day, even Fate's Warning, man, with Parallels, they were becoming more melodic and concise with their songwriting, which I kind of paralleled Queensryche with Fate's Warning as well. Those were, to me, those were the two premier prog metal bands of the 80s. Um, so yeah, just, and this is the first tour that I saw them on. I saw them at Meadowlands Arena with Suicidal Tendencies opening up. And it was their first full kind of arena. Silent Lucidity had blown up and they became an arena band, headlining. And I remember they did the whole, they had time because they were headliners, so they were able to do the whole Operation Mindcrime album on that tour. Whereas on the Operation Mindcrime, they were still an opening band, so they couldn't do the whole thing. Just didn't have time to do it live. So on this tour, they did the whole Operation Mindcrime album, which was awesome. And I got the 20th anniversary edition of the album. It's a little box set type thing, and it comes with the Hammersmith Odeon 1990 live set on here. It's kind of cool. It's got two discs, and then it's got like some cool. It's got like cool little booklet there, the Empire book, and then comes with cards with like they're on like each of these cards here. It looks like stills. It looks like stills from like the
Yeah, one of the videos, yeah.
from
Probably
I
Another
think,
Rainy Night, I think.
yeah. And it's got a cool poster that comes with it too, made by Pusshead that did a lot of the Metallica artwork. So it's very Metallica like.
Yeah,
That's a
okay.
cool little poster that came with it. So yeah, but I dig the album. I would probably say it's probably my third or fourth. I mean, I like the 80s stuff more than this, but I played this a lot when it came out. So it was I still think it holds up. It's a great album. And obviously the songs on here, I mean, Jet City Woman and Silent City still get a lot of radio airplay. So To me, it's their commercial zenith, their commercial peak. So, yeah, great album.
Very cool. All right. Last one for now. Promised Land came out in 1994. There was a pretty much a kind of big gap there between the albums. And
Yeah.
I was waiting for a new Queensryche album, and we finally got this one. And I go to put it on in the CD player, and I'm like, what is this? I'm like, why? It's so long and so drawn out, and it's a different Queensryche. It's they're doing a lot of acoustic stuff on this album, a lot of different sounds, and I really did not like it when I first heard it. It took me years actually to get to really enjoy this album, but now I really enjoy it a lot. I don't listen to it that often. I don't listen to any Queensryche album that often because I just listened to it so much when I was younger.
It's
Really
a
don't need
very
to.
dark and moody
It's a
album.
very
I
dark,
mean, you
dark
really
album.
got to be in the mood for
You
it.
really do.
For it to not bum you out.
Yeah, really. But a lot of new sounds going on here, like with I Am I. I mean, there's a lot of like almost kind of like industrial type
Yeah.
feel to this song. And with all the things that they got going on, it's really cool. And then he got damaged. And I like the song Bridge. That's really cool. It's acoustic or whatever. But the song Promised Land, that's a really dark song. It's a big song, dark. It's one of my favorite songs off the entire album. I do love Lady Jane. You mentioned that one before, Greg. What were you saying?
It just Promised Land is so awesome. I mean, all the different new stuff they incorporate into it, from Scott's music, concrete pieces, right down to Tate playing the saxophone. It's blows my mind.
Yeah, it's
really
Lady
Jane. I don't like that.
It lightens up the album a little bit. My Global Mind's
I think it's more because I feel it's misplaced than a bad song.
Yeah. One More Time Around feels like a a Queensryche song. It reminds me of like something could have been on Empire, really. And then someone else. I hate how it ends on that, like the piano and Jeff Tate singing, but I love the band version of Someone Else, which I wish they would have attached to this instead of that one. It's such a better Queensryche song to end on that album than this version, but we got what we got, and it's at least it's on a bonus track, so that's cool. But decent album. This one really had to grow on me. It took me years and years to really like it, but it is actually a very good album. Ken, what do you feel about the Promised Land?
There's a for me there was a few good songs, and you've already Lady Jane, Bridge. I like the Bridge. But this one, I think you were starting to see. I think DeGarmo would hang on for at least one more album after this. Yeah. But I think you were starting to see the control more. Tate was taking more control of the direction of things and the sound, and he was not. His musical taste and stuff were changing. He wasn't into the metal stuff so much anymore, and you can really see it on this album, where a lot of the songs are somber. He sings a lot lower.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
a lot deeper.
Yeah, it is very,
especially Lady Jane.
Yeah, it's a lot lower. There's not a lot of high marks. And I don't know, some of the songs like I am whatever.
I am I.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
To me, they were just bizarre songs. They weren't. I didn't look at them like, a continuation of being experimental like you had on especially Rage for Order and that, but just kind of like what you said. What is this?
Yeah.
I really tried to get into it because it's Queensryche. And I'm a Jeff Tate fan. I love his voice, but man, I just had the hardest time. I never could get into it, into this album, because the songs overall were just like boring. They didn't electrify me. They didn't give me Like I said, when I first put on Operation Mindcrime, A Rage for Order, the war, my eyes were like, wow, yeah, just electrifying. Like this is awesome. Even to an extent, Empire, but this one is just like I'm waiting. I'm waiting for something to.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Queensryche. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just
never got there.
Never. I never
There's
got there.
one song for me, because I feel the same way, and there's only one song on here that really made me think, okay, this is definitely Queensryche, and that's Disconnected.
Really?
Really? That was like a different one to me. All right.
I thought that was a bizarre song.
Yeah.
Well, it's different in the fact with what they're experimenting with, but it still has that essential Queensryche sound where most of the album preceding it doesn't. It's really hard. Like it has the essence, but no, it doesn't sound like what they did on Mindcrime or Rage for Order. It has hints of it, but
That's a good way to put it. The whole album has little hints of Queensryche. At least up to that point, what I thought of as Queensryche. But that's about it. The rest of it is just total bleh. I haven't listened to it. I can't listen sit through the whole thing. So
it took me a long time to get there.
I tell you what, you want to save money on your Ambien prescription, put this fucker in, because I had this on at work the other day because it's been a couple years since I listened. I was falling asleep standing up. I had to change it. I listened to Empire and this back to back, and it was just too much.
Yeah, it's boring.
It's monotonous.
It's like because I think Jeff, Tate doesn't change his vocals through the whole thing. Is just kind of is monotonous. It's like what happened to Tate? Where's your voice? That Tate voice? What's going on?
Yeah, if he was just a little bit more varied in his approach, even if he stayed in that same melancholy tone the whole time, which he does anyway, I think it'd be a little bit easier to swallow, but there's no range to what he's doing really. He kind of locks into a groove on IMI and then runs with it, and it's odd.
Yeah. Very, very, very much so. But like I said, I think he was just starting to take more control of things, and I don't know. I think maybe even then DeGarmo was kind of starting to get disillusioned with it, and there was growing friction in the band with especially DeGarmo.
I really think the biggest theme to this whole record is primarily Chris DeGarmo's dissatisfaction with the state of things. That's really what it feels like.
I mean, you got to wonder how much writing or how much did he, was he involved? I don't, what it says on the record, who did what, but because the songs don't even sound like something DeGarmo would have written. Tate, but not DeGarmo. So that's my thoughts on that. I'll shut up and pass it on.
Stan.
And I'll stop it.
He wants to is getting one.
Yeah. So this was the first Queensryche album I ever heard. I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. So it's just it's just a continuation of what started on Empire, where in the sense that it's just more art rock, more experimentation, but this one is just too moody and too depressing, and I'm just like it just there's no life in it, and to me it's kind of like a Jeff Tate solo album or something. It's like the start of
Yes.
something like that, you know. And but there's not a single song that I like on this album. It's just, you know, it's nothing. I don't think this album has anything redeeming
Hmm.
about it. But yeah, that's all I got. Sorry.
Actually, Chris DeGarmo wrote on every song except for Disconnected.
Really?
Yeah.
He was probably high at the time. I don't know.
Or he
No,
was
I think he was massively fucking depressed, actually. It one thing he never took well to was the level of success they reached. Not so much that he didn't like the accomplishments, but the fame that comes along with it.
Yeah, some people can't handle that very well, you know.
Yep.
But
Lou Mavs.
With the exception of IMI and the title track, I hate this album.
Wow.
I mean, I think I found the cure for insomnia, and it's Queensryche's Promised Land. I mean, how do you go from the self-titled EP to Empire and just consistently get better? And then here's a plate of shit mignon. That's the best way I could put this album. And it hurts me to say this because, again, I think Chris DeGarmo is a songwriting master and a hell of a guitar player, but this album did absolutely nothing for me. It's a constant reminder of why I hated the year 1994 in terms of like musical output and in terms of pop culture at the time. You know, we got to remember that this is also the same year that we lost Kurt Cobain. So all the kids
Jesus.
my age were just like depressed as hell. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm sick of all of you. You know, and this is when I rediscovered my love for I shouldn't say rediscovered, but I remember that summer there were two CDs I bought that cheered me up. Love Gun from Kiss and At Budokan from Cheap Trick. So to me, that set my year for 1994. This album, no thank you.
Interesting. There's a lot of really good albums from '94. I was just
Well, yeah, I
say,
discovered most of them later again because I'm only talking about like what I was exposed to.
I did kind of get a glimpse of what the next album was going to sound like because we got that song "Real World" from the Last Action Hero soundtrack.
Oh, yes.
I forgot about that.
Hmm.
So kind of had an inkling of where they were going next with that.
I think that's a bonus track on the CD I have of Promised Land, actually.
All right, Greg.
Well, when I first heard this, I was not, what the hell is this crap? To quote Homer Simpson. I got through the first two songs and just was not about it. I think I set it down for about a year and then I came back to it. And when I was in the mood for it, I mean, I can appreciate it, especially because Chris is still writing pretty complex, you know, and he does do a lot of interesting stuff with the guitar on this. Scott has some very interesting music, concrete pieces, which, by the way, 9:28 a.m. is the time he was born. And, you know, that track is supposed to be the cycle of someone that dies, then gets reincarnated. But interesting tidbit and a neat way to start the album. But and I made a mistake the other day when I was typing in the chat, Wayne. It wasn't Mindcrime and Empire I was listening to back to back. It was Promised Land and Empire. And
you're redeemed.
Good Lord, I thought it got a little monotonous on Empire with some of them mid-album tracks. This is just whew.
Yeah.
Don't listen to it while you're driving a car, that is for sure. Now, with all that said, the title track is one of their best epics. That is truly the best song on this record and just goes above and beyond. I do wish again, Tate sang like we knew how he can, and he just there's not enough vocal dynamics from him on this, and I think that really hurts a lot of these songs as well as they're composed. It's just one big drone, and it's not a bad record. I still think it's a good album. It's just very tough to listen to unless you're in a very specific mood.
Yeah.
But nothing changed from that album. Continuing on, all subsequent albums after, especially after DeGarmo left, it's like they never came back.
No, they kind of got stuck in like
Yeah,
I don't know what,
just,
like alternative
Yeah.
rock or something.
what was here in the out frontier,
near the front, the near front,
yeah, whatever.
Now frontier, yes.
Another, just like album, Queensryche album, I cannot listen to. Operation Mindcrime 2 is god awful. It's like,
Oh,
I don't know.
I forgot that existed.
Yeah.
We'll get there
again.
Yeah, but nothing changed. It's like the Promised Land, and then that's Queensryche.
Yeah, they lock into the sound and then run with it, and it's weird. And I think what bothers me most about it on this album and on all the others is you hear the elements, but they never fully become themselves again.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a little more fluid on here and then now Frontier because Chris is still around, but once he leaves, they really seem to lose their compass for several years until Todd Latour started to sing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Al. I want to leave you.
Yeah. This album went over my head when it came out, man. I didn't get it. I was like, what's going on here? I'm a little more kinder to it now, like kind of like you are, Wayne.
Yeah.
I can listen to it now with a little more of an open mind. But at the time, no, I was just like, this is not the Queensryche I know. I did see them on this tour though, and Typo Negative opened up for them on this tour. And I remember the stage show, they were doing like almost like this musical theater kind of, they brought a table out and they were like sitting at the table and just doing all this kind of acting and
yeah, I heard it was really bougie, almost like a play.
Yeah, like a play. It was exactly like a play, and I think it was going over a lot of, and I remember the crowd kind of getting a little disgruntled, man, like, as the show went on, I vividly remember this one guy, like, maybe like a couple seats over from me, he just screamed out, he was like, play some fucking rock and roll or something like that, man, because he was just getting so disgruntled about the whole, like, kind of play acting and all this stuff, and I get it, man, they wanted to kind of, add to the theme of the album and kind of, do this kind of play thing. And, but I kind of was like mixed. I had mixed feelings about the show myself. Um, Typo Negative was amazing though. I remember they were fucking great. And I remember I being more excited to see them than Queensryche at the time. So, as far as the album goes, I think it was just the fact that somebody said that, this is when Jeff Tate was really like kind of imposing his power in the band now. Like to me, I think in his mind, he wanted to be like kind of like a U2, kind of like just kind of try to reinvent Queensryche into this different entity, U2 of the eight. I mean, I'm comparing them to U2 because U2 in the 80s was one thing, and then they came back in the 90s and they were a completely reinvented different band. I think Jeff Tate was kind of trying to go with this, trying to reinvent the band into something different. And then, yeah, you're right. Like after this album, they just kind of rode this thing and they kind of lost their way with me, man. Like it was like as each album came out, I was just like kind of more disappointed than the last, and I'm like, where the fuck they never had this return to form thing with Jeff Tate. It never came there. Now a lot of Tyler Torrey brought them back to more of their metal roots. I think the Latour albums are actually pretty damn good. They brought them. he brought them back to like kind of the way they were, you know. But I just think, and another thing, I think they just ran out of gas in the songwriting department. It was just they kind of blew their load in the '80s, man, with all those great albums, and they just ran out of ideas, man. You know. So that's my take on it.
Yep. So many changes at first. They start off one thing, the next album changed and changed and changed. And then they just
For some bands it works, for some it doesn't,
Yeah.
and I don't know, Queensryche just kept on that path. Like they saw that it probably wasn't connecting, they had to know it because the venues they were playing got smaller and smaller
the album
again.
sales are dropping, and
I mean, I guess in Jeff Tate's mind, it's like he didn't care. It was just like I want to do the things the way I want to do it, and
I want to do cabaret.
oh, I saw that tour too.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You said that, Al. That reminded me of I can't remember the exact name of the festival, but it was this metal festival they were having in Virginia, and
Was it the M3 festival?
no,
I think it's Maryland.
That's in Columbia, Maryland, but this is
Oh.
years before that.
That incident. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It wasn't the M3 festival either. That didn't exist yet. This was somewhere down in Virginia, and Alex Skolnick was out of Testament at the time and playing jazz. Well, whoever organized this festival clearly had never listened to the Alex Skolnick trio. So they come on stage and everyone's, yeah, and then they start playing. And what? I have never seen a band get thrown so much mud at them before or since in my life.
Oh.
And then
they're
of course
expecting
he's
one
got
thing.
to say something like, fuck you guys, this is why I don't play metal anymore. Yeah, well. What
Yeah,
he
that didn't
should have
last very
done
long.
was just walk off stage.
Yeah,
But,
man, Queensryche just kind of lost that crowd as the concert progressed, man. I just saw the crowd just kind of like, what's going on here? What's going on here? And I mean, they kind of did that with on the Empire tour with the Operation Mindcrime, very theatrical but I guess because that album was just so strong, people were into it. This one just kind of didn't connect with the audience, so
Yeah, shame. But we'll get to the second half of Queensryche at some point.
About that is, it was 94. They were from Seattle. Making teenagers depressed is like shooting fish in a barrel. You think this would have taken off.
Oh.
But all right, so that's it. Thanks for joining us, Ken. Thanks for joining us, Al.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks for
Good
coming
to see you
on.
guys.
Good to hear your
And,
thoughts on it, Ken.
Yeah, we'll be back next week with another show. We're not going to continue with Queensryche because they got so many albums. We're going to give it a break for a while and come back to it. So
I don't think you're ever going to come back to them after that.
I have it planned. It is
for the
planned
second half of their career.
I haven't.
We have it. It's on the schedule.
I don't know how much input I would have beyond
those shows will not go 2.5 hours long.
Nah. I don't know, man. Maybe being disgruntled might take a while.
It's gonna be like Men on Film. Hated it.
Yeah, it should be a quick one, but we'll see. All right, everybody.
That's
we'll
what
see you
she
guys
said.
Next week.
All right, guys.
Good night, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Good one.